From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Well, hello, people. It's nice to see you. Bullhorn Betty here on my birthday. I have put this in subscriber-only mode for comments, because I do not want to redo of yesterday with all the hate channels and all of the BS that comes with this platform. We've been talking about Sebastian Rogers and keeping it to the real, not these chaotic, conspiracy theories and other things that make no difference. There's a lot of creators out there that are bashing Seth Rogers, his team, the dog. These are people that have no education whatsoever, that use this platform for financial support for their lives and really don't care about the victims that they are causing great grief to in light of a major issue. This is a major case that is going on in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And I just want to be very, very clear that I do not want to listen to these yahoos that think they know what they're talking about when they don't even know one scintilla of fact. I've been listening to, many of you guys know, not only am I on this platform, I'm also on YouTube, have a good following over there, have a great following over here. And one of the things, thank you guys, thank you, it's nice to see you. One of those things that I cannot stand more than anything in the world is people just speaking nonsense and garbage without receipts to support any of their findings. We have a Yahoo that's an internet PI. I'm not going to say his name because he doesn't deserve my platform. And he's spreading around and has spread around false information about this case. And just to let you know, he has been employed by this boy's mother and stepfather. Another content creator, I call her Beached Whale. Hate me for body shaming, I don't care. She's a nasty, vile individual. And she also received $1,000 from the mom and the stepfather under the guise of billboards, right? They could open their own account, do their own billboards. And this is the same woman that has stalked me, threatened to hit me, said some very violent language toward me and things like that. So it seems like everybody's stirring up nonsense on the YouTube platform as well as this platform have a direct connection to the last woman that saw this boy alive. That is a problem for me because the information that they are spreading around on these social media platforms, one, are not true. Two, have no supporting documentation or evidence. It's just their words. We have released a Seth Rogers timesheet. You guys got to understand, he works for a jail. Okay, there are statutes in Tennessee that prevent law enforcement from distributing certain confidential information. And because he's a deputy sheriff, Unfortunately, there's a lot of information that he is not even a privy to. Okay, so I put out his timesheets to prove to everybody that he was at work the entire time. Even if which he didn't have a lunch break, but even if he did have a lunch break and had to clock out for that lunch break, he would still be required to stay on campus. He wouldn't be able to leave the secured areas. That's what people don't understand. This man works from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., not 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. He works throughout the night. He was working the night his son disappeared. He was on video. He has key cards where he locked his truck in a secured area, in a gated area under the building. So I'm getting really sick and tired of this. And when they can't argue with that anymore, when they can't say, oh, well, he could have stepped out, he could have left. When we produce the receipts for that, now we go to, oh, he's a pedo. Oh, he did this with this child. Oh, they had it, unalived their child, through a process, and no receipts. Like, if you're a PI, you obviously had to get some documentation to make that claim. Where's the documentation for that claim? There are none. There are none. All they're doing is passing around BS information to make a father that is missing his boy, that had nothing to do with the disappearance of his son, and only wants his son back home, out to be a villain through these horrible, horrible lies. No fact-finding whatsoever. Do you honestly think somebody that cannot, let me just repeat this. Do you honestly think somebody that cannot get a higher education is more suited to talk about this case than, say, Dog the Bounty Hunter? I'm just asking. A man that has captured over 10,000 fugitives, has known to track and research. You think this Yahoo sitting in a trailer that has lost her kids knows more about this case than people that have an education about this kind of work? Asking for a few friends. So we're in a situation here where this social media platform has been littered with misinformation about this case. The bottom line, let's go over the facts of the Sebastian Rogers case so we can clarify a lot of stuff for people. First and foremost, this child was out on February 25th. February 25th was a Sunday. He had a very overextending and overstimulating day. He was all over the place. They got up, they made breakfast, allegedly. They went out to BJ's and got the boys some snacks. All right. We learned later on that apparently a cousin was picked up and had to meet the aunt. That story, again, doesn't make sense. It was interjected after the first few interviews. However, the bottom line is he went to BJ's. They came home. We don't know how long they were home before they went out to a bowling alley to play games. Then they went over to the Texas Roadhouse. The Texas Roadhouse, folks, hold on just a second, let me get this. Then they went over to the Texas Roadhouse. The Texas Roadhouse, folks, about that, I needed to get my do not disturb on. So they left the Texas Roadhouse around 6:30. This was the proof of life video that Seth Rogers was able to look at related to his son. Although that video has not been released to the public, he was able to see his son walking out. There was one notable characteristic that Seth had noticed, and it was that his son, usually when they go out to eat, he's happy, giggling, skipping, having a great time. Hey, it's nice to see you, Highness. And he wasn't like that when he left the Roadhouse Grill. Now, many people are speculating that this child didn't even make it home. I'm not on that realm of thought process. I do believe this child made it home for several specific reasons. One is because his shoes were there. I don't see somebody out in the public trying to change a child in a car. You know, it seems like it would get a lot of people's attention if there was a lot of movement going on in a car on the side of the road or something like that. Just my personal viewpoints. But in all fairness, when when Mom's car went into the garage, none of the neighbors saw Sebastian get out of the vehicle or go in the house. So that's what gives people the perception that he may not have made it home. However, like I said, the shoes were there. His jeans that he was wearing that night, he was wearing a black shirt with some graphics on it. a pair of jeans, and tennis shoes. When he left, apparently those jeans, shirt, and tennis shoes were given over to law enforcement. So they have them. So that implies he must have made it home to change. Now, again, that's an assumption because nobody saw this child back at that house except his mother. We've learned from several interviews that apparently from 6:30 to 9, this child was in his room playing and was told to go to bed. He says, "Good night, Mom, good night, puppies," and proceeds to go to bed. That's the end of the story we know for him until 6 a.m. in the morning. What we've learned through many of the interviews is that the mom's story has changed quite a bit. The first two interviews, the Dutch's interview of March 3rd and the WSMV interview of March 5th, were very specific in the fact that two things were not acknowledged. One is the fact that not one time was it ever mentioned that this child took the garbage out to the road in either of those first interviews. Another thing is not one time was the her leaving the home and driving around looking for him ever brought up in these first interviews. Actually, what was said in those two interviews is that she woke up at 6 a.m., went into the room, he wasn't there, she took a few minutes to look around the house and call his name, and within 3 minutes, she's on the phone with her husband, the stepfather, to this boy, and then he immediately says, well, did you look here? Did you look here? Did you look here? And immediately called law enforcement. Now we fast forward to the records that came out from law enforcement that identify the stepfather did not call law enforcement until over 30 minutes after the initial call from his wife. Definitely not immediate. We've been working through the case from start to finish on my YouTube channel. I did break away yesterday to kind of handle some one and done matters. I'm a one and done chick. What does that mean? It means when I have had enough with the BS here on these platforms, I will say my piece and I will be done with it and get back to the facts of the case. Whether or not the mom and the father, Seth Rogers, had any problems 8 years ago in a divorce and custody case has no bearing on the case at hand. Focusing on those issues are only to smear a man looking for his father. It has no relevance. The only thing I look at when I'm looking in missing person cases is I do look in the background, okay? You need to see what you're dealing with. But one thing I don't do is splatter that background information all over social media when it has nothing to do with the case. We have a missing boy. He's 15 years old. He's medically needy and been gone over 7 months, and we've got yahoos on these platforms thinking everything else is more important than bringing this boy home. Actually going out of their way to intimidate people from getting involved in this case to help. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is a jovial. He was a fun-loving kid. We heard from his teachers. His teachers had nothing but nice things to say about him. About his presence at school, about his joyfulness of coming to school. They really seemed like they cared about this boy. On the flip side, we hear a lot of information from the interviews from mom and stepfather. Not quite as loving or as caring as the teachers. Just my observation and my opinion. Make your own opinions. There's plenty of interviews out there from the mouths of babes that you can hold on to than listening to these yahoos smear a man looking for his child. I want everybody. We got 240 people in my chat right now. I want you to think if your child, you woke up today and your child was missing. Your child was missing. And you had to deal with the likes, because you know what's in your closet, right? I know I got skeletons in my closet, right? We all do. We're human beings. We make a lot of mistakes through life. There's no book other than the Bible that we can use to guide us through this life. And even when we have the Bible to help guide us through this life, we as humans make mistakes. All of us. There's no crystal ball. Can you imagine your worst time in your life happening? Years later, life is getting back to normal. And then all of a sudden your child is missing and everything you've ever done wrong. And more. Let's not forget the lies. Right? We have our own baggage as is without all the lies. But imagine that your baggage comes and is splattered all over. Your child that's missing takes a back seat to your baggage. Because every time you support one of these channels that are bashing a father, the only parent that's actually putting feet to dirt and looking for this child is being injured every single day by the commentary. Not just the commentary. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, commentary, and criticism. But when you are actually putting in misinformation that's driving people to call law enforcement, that's making this case come to a stop while they investigate all these nonsense allegations, you are interfering with an investigation. What these people are doing is not right. Okay? They're not right. And every time we turn around, it's the same people driving the same narrative. And when we trace it back, it all goes back to the mom and the stepfather. Their associations. That's a big problem for me. When I came here, I've been all about this child right here. I could care less about the parents. I mean, I speak what it is. And at the end of the day, we've got some questions that need to be answered. At the end of the day, the facts are this child was in his home alone with his mother. We've heard from law enforcement time and time again that says there is no evidence this child walked out the door. They can't figure out how he left. We have law enforcement telling us that there is no video surveillance of this child walking anywhere in that community, although there's cameras everywhere. And moreover, we have dogs that can't pick up his scent. People that have been doing tracking for 20 and 30 years said they have never in their experience dealt with anything like this, where they have found nothing. These are the true facts of the case. And I just want to know, what does that have to do with a divorce 8 years ago? Furthermore, everybody's like, oh, well, the mom must not really want him to be around the father. Okay? His father's so abusive, she's just trying to protect him from the father. Okay. Well, then explain to me why for 8 years he's been going over there every night in the weekends and all summer. Explain to me why the stepdad is on video in an interview stating that all Sebastian has to do is say, I want to go to my dad's, and they'll take him to his dad's or have his dad pick him up. So if those allegations were true, then why no problems prior to this with the custody issues? With him going to his father's, them having to change dates if something's going on one weekend or the other. If that was true, because let's face it, these are the facts that are coming out of the parents' mouths, not these content creators' mouths. So when we hear all of this stuff, and we hear that the only man that is being smeared on these platforms is the biological father that actually has an alibi, passed a polygraph test. Hell, he was even willing to undergo truth serum. While everybody on the mom and father side started saying, oh my God, that's illegal. And then we have the bragging related to the questions. Hopefully I can find it on here. Probably can't. But I just saw it this morning. And it was the stepfather on another Piglet's YouTube channel. The lady that I'm in lawsuit with in Illinois. And he's talking about the test, the polygraph test. Oh, we get the... Sorry about that. Hopefully it didn't screw up my YouTube too much. Good gracious, Delilah. But we have a guy, the stepfather, on another Piglet's YouTube channel, saying how he received copies of the questions for the polygraph test. Not only received the copy of the questions, but could change the questions if he so chose. If he didn't like the way the question was written out, he could change it. There's a lot of ways to mess with a polygraph test. Lots of ways. Give me just a second. I'm caught up with my lips. And a few of those is, believe it or not, squinching and releasing your sphincter. That's one thing that you can do because it does something to the biology of the nerves of your body. Another thing is when you answer a question, you can say, like say they're saying, were you born in Sumner County, Tennessee? Yes. Oh, I mean, no, I wasn't born in Sumner County. I was actually born in Hendersonville. That's a good way to mess with the polygraph test. There are a lot of ways that a person can mess with the polygraph test to either get an inconclusive or a pass test. Another way is medication, such as XN, Zan, okay? Zan, you guys get it? And that is what we heard was handed over to Katie by Cathy the morning Sebastian disappeared. So, to me, I have questions. Because Seth took not only the TBI polygraph test, he also took the test on Nancy Grace by an FBI-trained polygraph test taker. Not only did he pass with flying colors, he also included some of his thoughts on what he believed happened to his son, which were in private communications. However, that information was aired on the Nancy Grace show, and it upset Seth highly, so much so he left the show when she did that. So we definitely know that one parent has been active, has been looking. When you go back to his interviews, it's all about his son. It's not about him. It's not about the harassment. It's not about everything he's going through. It's not about these other content creators that are lying on him. He keeps it about his son. However, on the other side, interview after interview after interview from the mom and the stepfather, we hear self-preservation. We hear me, how my life is, how me. Oh, by the way, we do have a missing son. His name's Sebastian. And usually that's at the coax of whoever's interviewing them. Sebastian's got to be in there somewhere, right? Oh, yeah. You know? So we have polar opposites. Hey, Chasing. We have polar opposites from one side of the family to the other side of the family. But the problem is the mom and the stepdad, mom predominantly, was the last one to see this child. And to hear all these changes in the story, to hear interview after interview, Sebastian being last, it really gives us an uneasy feeling. And many people say, well, why do you got to focus on the parents? When have we not focused on the last person that saw anybody? This has nothing to do with just this case. I use the same strategy, the same, fact-finding technique I use from case to case. Okay? I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not pulling it out of my butt. This is how I do it with all these cases. The one thing I'm always looking for is who saw the subject last and what was going on. Every case. Who was even Audrey Cunningham. What did we do? We found out who the last person that saw her was. Guess what? It was Stephen McDougal. Guess what? He's in jail. It's not different from case to case. I follow the same procedures from case to case. It keeps everything good. It's a proven method that keeps everything good. I'm not picking on this family. You know? And I'm not stating things that are untrue. Listen, there was a pressure cleaner that was brought up, a mattress that was brought up. There was a whole host of horrible things that were brought up related to his mom and stepdad that never came on my show. And as a matter of fact, when it did come up on my show, it was to debunk the information. because we do the fact finding to find out, is it legit or not? I'm not on the bandwagon of just going with whatever anybody says that's salacious, that's going to get a click in the view, that's going to drive a narrative. I will stand alone on a hill, or I will stand with fighters on the hill. It's up to you, you know? But I don't mind standing alone if I'm on the right side of things. I've got to tell you, there's a lot of people just like me out there that are reading this and getting to the bottom of a lot of stuff when it comes to this case. Legit creators. Not ones that have to come up with some bonehead ideas that make absolutely no sense, that cannot be corroborated or have one scintilla of fact or receipt shown for those allegations. When I make something, especially in this case, it's based on information that's readily available in the media and or on these interviews by one or the other of the parents. Whether it be Seth, whether it be mom, whether it be stepdad. So all these yahoos that have been out here spreading around misinformation, dogging Seth Rogers unnecessarily when he's the only person here searching for his son that's blood related to him. You guys need to just stop. Please. These people are filled with hate. These creators are filled with hate. They got no love for this child. They got no love for this case. They don't care who they hurt or who they destroy in the process because their hate is so overpowering. For those that are godly or believe in God, that's not godly. That's not right. If you went to school when I went to school, not with these social warrior, justice warrior people, you would have learned that behavior is wrong. However, I realize there are some content creators on this platform that never graduated high school. So maybe they didn't learn. But again, are you really wanting to get your facts from somebody that couldn't even complete high school? Like, most of you guys are smarter than that. Most of you guys have higher education. You guys know better. That's what I'm saying. You guys know better. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is still missing. Today is September 17th. It is my birthday. It is my birthday. And I'm still fighting for this boy. I've got legal paperwork I'm going to be working on most of the day and most of tomorrow, praying to God it gets all done. But I'm going to still be advocating for this child. I'm going to be advocating for this child with facts. Not innuendos, not conjecture. Facts. That's what is needed in this case. The facts aren't pretty. Okay? They're not pretty. This boy went to bed and was gone the next morning. No proof he walked out of the house. Those are the facts. Okay? What do you want? Oh, let's make it up. Let's say, oh my God, Seth was gone for 2 hours from work. Where's the proof? Oh, thank you, Tracy. Good morning to you, my love. Where's the proof? Nobody can give you proof. I produced receipts showing the man didn't even have a lunch break. And they're still trying. They still, out of all of this, still can't concede they are wrong in passing around misinformation intentionally. And then again, oh, thank you. Then again, when you look at who all these people are associated with, do we find it funny that they're associated with the last person that saw this child? So if they're associated with them and they're passing around misinformation, intentionally passing around misinformation, it makes you wonder why. Why? Maybe to help? I'm not going to help any person that I view as a monster. I didn't help Don Wells or Candace Bly. I didn't give him 1 cent. Not 1 cent. And I even said there is no way. Until they're exonerated, they ain't getting a penny from me. A penny. So, I don't have a whole lot to say. There's not a lot of new information. But I am going to be out here daily campaigning for the truth. Not these lies. Not the BS here that, Oh my God, you're not going to believe this. Look what we found. Well, show me what you found. And let's make sure that this time that PI, that internet PI, doesn't accidentally mistaken a 40-year-old black man's record to a 52-year-old white man's record. Because let's face it, Tony was smeared on this platform over bunk criminal charges that weren't his. And if you had looked at the paperwork, which I'm sure many people did, it clearly said 40-year-old or 40 comma B/M. That says 40-year-old black male. Very, very obvious that everybody wanted to overlook to smear Tony. And let me tell you, Tony Mathis is a blessing. He is one of the kindest, generous people I have ever met. He has asked for squat in this case. All he has ever done is help. And for those people that are being disrespectful and calling him TikTok Tony and all this other stuff, you guys got to stop. You're wrong for doing that. There's got to be some type of point when people come to Jesus over this conversation. I'm just saying. Thank you, Chasen. So, oh, thank you, Prescia. I hope I said that name right. My Hooked on Phonics is broken. God bless you for that. So, I just want people to please come back to earth. Please come back to common sense. Please quit listening to these people. These people aren't doing you any favor. They're really not. You know? They're lying to you, and they're getting you upset with people for no reason other than they want people upset. Their hate is that overpowering that they don't care who they hurt in the process. That's not anybody we need to be getting information from, and that's not anybody we need to be supporting. So anyways, guys, you have a great day. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something, and I mean that. When these people are off base and they don't produce any receipts for the garbage that's coming out of their mouth, hold them to account. Please. Unsubscribe from them if you so choose. But enough's enough. We got to get back. Oh, thank you. Thank you. We got to get back to Sebastian Rogers. He's still missing. Look at this beautiful face. Look at this beautiful face. Does he not deserve to come home? Does he not deserve justice for whatever happened to him all these 7 months? Where's your heart, guys? Where's your brain cells? Let's get back to work. If you have any information related to this child, Sebastian Rogers, please reach out to 833-TELL-DOG. If you want to go straight to the source, please reach out to the Memphis FBI office and tell them what you know. You could potentially get a reward of $100,000 if your information leads to the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers or those responsible for his disappearance. This platform has the ability to get out very far and very wide. Let it get out very far and very wide. This boy still needs to be found. He's somewhere in Tennessee, in my opinion. He's somewhere. He's somewhere. But we got Dog the Bounty Hunter looking at other options, looking at other family members, looking at him possibly being in other areas, safe and sound, just hidden as like a, a custody dispute, so to speak. But I just don't believe that to be the case because they've had no problems with this custody back and forth for years. Why all of a sudden? It doesn't make sense to me. Do you think they took him to... I really don't, because I know they boarded a... they may have had a private plane, but I'm pretty sure they boarded a national airline to get the rest of the way to Alaska. And if that's the case, then no, I don't believe that. Or it might be just the opposite. But either way, the checks, I don't know anybody that would be that brazen to take a child on an airplane in whatever condition he would have had to been. Thank you, Kendra. God bless you. Aw. Hearts to you too. Hearts to you too. It's nice to see you. So please, guys, just be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe. But more importantly, please be kind to one another. God bless.